The Evergreen Media Network Studio, powered by Scott Tree Services.
Treasure Coast Connector, connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. Treasure Coast Connector is the talk show, an online community where we put a spotlight on interesting local businesses and resources, then connect them to you, the consumers in the community. Everyone has an interesting story of why they do what they do. And when we learn about what's happening in our own backyard and support local businesses, it strengthens our local economy. For details on the show, links to discounts, promos, past interviews, check out www.tcconnector.com. You know, people start businesses for many reasons. They're building wealth, gaining independence, or bringing an innovative product to the marketplace. And then there are other people that want to buy commercial real estate so that it can give them financial independence and run their businesses out of. Well, we're going to be talking about lots of different commercial real estate options on this show because I have Chris Flaig of Flaig Commercial Real Estate Group, powered by LPT Realty. We have so much to share. We're diving right into the show. Welcome, Chris. So good to see you.
Good to see you too, Ellen. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. This is perfect timing for you to be here. You have so much going on. And before we talk about all that you help your clients with, what made you want to get into the commercial real estate industry?
That's a great question. So I do have a background in corporate underwriting, wrote a thesis in corporate valuation, and I've superimposed those, skills that I've got on Excel spreadsheets I put that in the context of real estate, where real estate's very linear and very much can be understood on paper. So basically, I got into commercial real estate primarily because I wanted to foster relationships with businesses in the community. And I see it as a way to help businesses understand and achieve their goals and ultimately weave myself into the framework of the community.
Yeah. And I think that's wonderful because, you come from St. Ed's and then you went on to get your MBA. So you're this, facts and figures guy. But then commercial real estate is so fluid and you're helping business owners not only especially when people start out, they want to rent and then they are thinking about buying and then you're dealing with the commercial real estate investors. You are covering everything from leasing and development and sales and all sorts of stuff. And we're going to get into that in a moment because there are so many exciting projects happening. You work from the Space Coast, Treasure Coast, and Palm Beaches primarily, although you're also working deals on the West Coast and North Florida, South Florida, so you're pretty much all over the place. But your main area is that part of the East Coast of Florida, and all we have to do is drive up and down 95, and we're seeing all of these mega warehouses and other commercial real estate going on. And what does that do for our current commercial real estate? Those owners are sprucing up. So there's a flurry of activity. So what are some of the trends that you are seeing right now in commercial real estate that you want to highlight?
So in the commercial real estate market, we see boom and bust cycles. It's a supply and demand game. So what we had is a low interest rate environment post-COVID where all these developers sprinted to try to get ahead of the demand that was, began to exist because of the growth that's happening in Florida and then the boom in e-commerce. They're trying to get ahead of the demand for warehouse space and things of that nature for logistical purposes. But more recently, the property values have been, kind of compressed because we've got higher interest rates and we also have properties that, excuse me.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm not usually on the screen here. I'm usually behind my.
I know, and that's the thing. You're always working these deals from that financial aspect, that being out in the front like this, just chatting, it's just not our thing normally. And I get that. But but there's a lot of opportunities, and you're really excited about it because you have lots of different people in different cycles of growth that are coming to you for different reasons. So
yeah, that's correct. I work with business owners that are just getting started, that are, it's amazing what you can do for a business just by finding them the right spot.
Oh, I know.
So location is everything. So being near to your market, conducting a feasibility study to make sure that their business model will thrive in that environment.
Yeah.
I'm also focused on doing feasibility studies for people that own property already. So let's say you own a piece of property, you've got a big vision for it, and there's a lot of dreamers out there, but your dream is you can only accomplish that dream if you make it make sense on paper first.
Nice.
And that's why I love real estate so much. It's because I generally know and can control what I'm getting into before I'm getting into it.
Very nice. Yeah.
So,
and that's why I think a lot of people like working with you now, because let's just say that somebody does have a piece of property and they had one vision for it. You come in and you're doing the feasibility study, and you're actually saying, for what your vision is, this property won't support it. But then you're telling them what will.
Absolutely.
And making something else happen for them. And then they still have this vision. So now you're helping them find the property to make that vision a reality. So you're not a no type of a person. You see the possibilities and you help your clients navigate for what they're looking to achieve.
Absolutely. Like I said, a lot of the times their first initial vision is not something that's quite going to make the most sense. So I'll point them in coax them gently into a direction that is going to yield the biggest benefit for their portfolio long term. And that's what it's all about, is telling people the truth and making sure that you give them the advice that you'd give your mother.
And that's the other thing that I wanted to say is about advising, because business owners, who do they have they have mentors and coaches. They have a CPA that's advising them. They have an attorney that's advising them. And now they have you as a commercial real estate person, because when somebody is working their way through their professional life as a business owner, there's life cycles to everything. It's just like how people buy a starter home, and then they have a family, and then they buy a bigger home, and then they're downsizing at retirement. You're working with business people you develop relationships, and they stay with you for that long term, because somebody might come to you and they're leasing a space and now they need to buy a space. Maybe they want to buy another business, sell another business. Maybe they want to be a real estate investor and buy other things and be a landlord kind of a situation. So you are working with people throughout that whole entire business life cycle.
Absolutely. If somebody's just getting started and they've got a vision, it's a relationship. It's really a relationship building exercise, and linking arms with people in the community and helping them achieve their goals for the short term, and help them map out a future for success.
Yeah.
And I can do so by helping them find a place to lease that's the most practical, or, it might just be the case that they have enough, or they're well capitalized enough to make an acquisition, and then thereby become the owner of the real estate and participate in the appreciation of the real estate.
They're buying assets, they're creating income, they're generating income, or they might even need a space to operate their business out of. But then they're buying a property where they can rent out the other piece of it. So they're operating their business, but yet they have income coming in from the other side. So I just like how you're the type of person that you see the big picture, but then you can focus in a very, strategic, specific way. Not a narrow focus in a bad way, but a narrow focus to achieve a goal. Yeah.
Well, this is my this is what I spend my time doing. I wake up early, I work out at 5:30 a.m. and I begin, looking for those that may be in need of my assistance. It's worked out quite nicely for me. I did start off in the residential space, and given my background in corporate valuation, I'm an analytical guy. Yeah. So residential real estate, it's a great business to be in. It's certainly done well doing that. Yeah. But helping people connect dots in their brain that otherwise might not have made much sense to them, that's really what I enjoy doing the most in the commercial space.
Yeah. Now, when someone comes to you and they say, I'm thinking that I want to buy property, commercial property, what are some of the tips that you have for people to prepare themselves for that possibility? What do they have to think about?
Well, it's most important, if you're a business owner, you need to understand whether or not your business is in the phase of its life that you need to own the property. Exactly. Yeah. So it might be the case that you should utilize leverage in a different manner such that you can obtain, equipment that you would need to utilize, whether it be industrial equipment, trucks, things of that nature. Medical equipment. Yeah. So to access leverage for the necessities is more important on the front end, because you're going to be stagnated with this debt service that you have to cover every month. Now, the flip side of that is being a renter, but there are benefits from case by case basis. It very much is the case that it
makes sense to rent it sometimes, and it makes sense to buy at other times. So
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And that's also what I appreciate about your approach to this business, because I have to say that throughout my years, I have met plenty of people in the commercial real estate space, and they don't focus on all of the things that you focus on. I don't think that they actually have the same educational background that you have with that MBA. It's like you're a business consultant as well. So what do people want when they're owning a business? They're not looking for just a paycheck. Otherwise, they would get a job. They're looking for creating wealth, building a legacy, having something to pass on. And so that's what you're about personally. So, and that's your approach. It's a very refreshing, big picture approach that a lot of commercial realtors do not have. And before we go to a break, what is your phone number? What is your email for the first half of the show? Because people that are watching can see the graphic, but our iHeart people and podcasters can't see it.
Yeah, I can be reached anytime for the most part at 772-766-2001. And my email is simply Chris, CHRIS, at flagcommercial.com.
And that's FLAIG commercial.com. And with that, we're going to take a commercial break. Stay tuned. We have a lot more to discuss.
Sturgis Lumber is the county's most trusted hardware store. Sturgis stocks stainless steel products, power tools, construction and painting supplies, propane, plumbing, and electrical parts. 4645 US 1 Vero Beach. Sturgis Lumber and Hardware.
Hey you! Host your very own show every week at Evergreen Media Network in Vero Beach. Go live to YouTube and Facebook with up to 4 people and your very own producer. Be heard on more than 15 podcast platforms and local radio. All you have to do is show up and talk. Your guests can join from anywhere in the world. It's easy to get started with the largest podcast studio on the Treasure Coast. Contact Evergreen Media to tour the studio.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Now during our summer sale, you can save 10 to 50% store-wide on furniture in the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, Capri, and more. Sofas, love seats, dining sets, bedroom groups, all in stock for immediate delivery. We're also the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Garden, Hollywood, and Kingsley Bait. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Come in now for our store-wide summer sale, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store directly across the street and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I've been chatting with Chris Flaig of Flaig Commercial Real Estate Group, powered by LPT Realty. We've been talking about all things commercial real estate, and we're going to just jump right back into it. Okay, so now, you know what I want to talk about now is we talked a little bit about how you help the business owner through their life cycle of their personal business journey. And your background is very, very impressive. But now I want to learn more about the different types of opportunities that you offer people within Flaig Commercial. And it's powered by LPT Realty. And that comes with a lot of strength behind it. So what do you want to talk about your brokerage?
So I'm full service, whether you're looking to buy property or lease the property, whether you're an investor or a business seeking a home to get started, or you're looking to grow into the next space, because that happens more often than not. The businesses need more space, and finding that space is not always the easiest thing. And then thereby finding the space is just half the battle. It's negotiating the best deal with the landlord on the tenant representation side of things. You know, oftentimes these are triple net leases, meaning that the tenant is responsible for the property tax, insurance, and common area maintenance on top of the base rent.
Ooh.
So the price that you see on LoopNet and Crexy, if you're a business person looking for a place, that number that they advertise
is a small part of it.
Yes, very small part of it. Well, not very. Base rent is generally the lion's share of the expenses.
Just a part of it. Oh my goodness.
But in terms of base rent, it's when you see $20 and it shows you a warehouse space, for example, $20 is the price per square foot per year. So people oftentimes misconstrue that. So $20 a foot times 10,000 feet divided by 12, that'll be your monthly base rent.
Yeah.
And then it's up to me to negotiate lowering that base rent, getting some tenant improvement allowance so that the landlord can participate in a build out such that you're able to operate your business, and the landlord effectively becomes a partner with you by giving you some tenant improvement allowance dollars, so that the burden out of your pocket is much less. Another way that I can get the burden of starting a new business or expanding your business rapidly is by rent abatement. So rent abatement and free rent. So oftentimes, landlords want businesses that rent from them to be successful, because if the business is successful that's in their space, then they're going to be getting paid their rent.
Yeah, and they want them to stay for the long term, too.
Exactly, yeah.
You know?
So it's bridging that gap between tenant and landlord, and on the flip side, representing landlords and attracting tenants that are going to be a good fit for the space and thrive in the environment.
And that's also where you come in, where we talked about that in the first half, is that you are getting to know the business owners on a personal level. It's really like business consulting, because you want to know who they are, what their goals are, what type of business they have, the life cycle, like you're handling all of that. So, and you know these properties. So if someone, let's say, is in the restaurant industry, there might be properties that were built out as a restaurant. So a lot of the equipment and hookups and things might already be there. So it's less of a build out, because they just have to go in and decorate. Right?
You're right. There's a lot of benefits from second generation spaces.
And medical as well.
Medical, yes, especially. When it comes to the food and beverage side of things, it's imperative that you do everything in your power to rebrand that space but still utilize the furniture, fixtures, and
the
equipment.
bones of what's there.
Because you don't want to go start your new restaurant and it have remnants of the previous brand.
Of course.
But absolutely, finding a space that's already built out, generally speaking, can be very, very beneficial to your bottom line.
Yeah, and you work with so many different businesses in so many different industries. So when it comes to medical, industrial, retail, you've worked with it all. So you're very comfortable in all of those industries and buying, selling, leasing, and then of course investors or somebody. Oh, wait a minute. Your ideal client, you were also telling me earlier today, is someone that has a property or a portfolio and they want to maximize. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So a lot of people own properties that they've had since the 80s or the 90s or even earlier, later than that. And they don't necessarily have the leases structured in such a manner that they're profiting the way that they should.
They're leaving money on the table.
They're leaving money on the table. So if you've got a portfolio of commercial real estate and you're not, managing that, to a certain level, you're definitely leaving money on the table. And I see warehouse spaces that are owned by a one-off owner that has maybe five warehouses.
Okay.
And maybe 30,000 feet of warehouse. They're still renting their warehouse space on a square foot basis at, $9 a foot, $8 a foot. That's absolutely, that's like 1980s prices.
Got it. Okay.
So current market, 13, 14 when I'm underwriting. So when I'm underwriting, I'm very stringent with my numbers. If I'm advising you, for example, to make an acquisition, I'm not looking at, the rent is going to be way up here. I'm looking at the rent is modestly going to be here on a reoccurring basis sustainably. And we make our purchase price reflect that modest amount of rent. And in the last couple of years when rates were low, prices were through the roof because of the low rates. Now what we're seeing is a little interesting because people that bought these commercial assets in those time frames at very low cap rates with very low interest rates they bought those investments thinking that the rents would always be up here and that they would do nothing but go up. And we've seen the nature of markets is taking
up and
effect.
Down. Sure.
Absolutely. With rates being higher, prices of buildings are lower, and we're actually seeing defaults. What defaults translate into something good for us because I see more deals hitting the market. I'm optimistic.
Well, that's good. So we have like 60 seconds. So I want to use some of that time because we have 2 minutes, but we have 60 seconds for you to wrap this up. So I want you to say your phone number, your email. How do people get in touch with you?
Well, like I said earlier, you can reach me anytime, generally, except for on Sundays. I do go to church on Sundays.
Okay, good for you.
So
you need a break.
I need a break,
day off for yourself, for church and family. Good.
6 days a week.
Yeah.
So 772-766-2001. You can reach me. That's my direct line. Or my email is chris@flaigcommercial.com. That's chris@flaigcommercial.com.
Okay, very good. And then I was even talking about with all of these in the first half, with all of the new real estate that's older, they really have to pick up on that and to stay competitive. Can you help these, commercial realtors, or property owners, get the most out of their older spaces?
Absolutely. There's a market for class A, B, C, and even below.
Okay.
Now the rents might not be top of market.
Okay.
But there's a business. Yep. There's a shoe. There's a foot for every shoe.
Every shoe, and you're going to make that happen.
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to say now, because we only have a few seconds left, is thank you so very much. I know that you're going to get all sorts of business people and investors to call you, and I highly encourage them to do that based on all of the background that you have. I say they would be silly not to. So thank you, Chris, for being here. My name is Ellen Contreras, host of Treasure Coast Connector. And I hope everyone has a safe, productive, wonderful week. And until next week, I miss you already.